The world won't understand you. Hey, but it's okay. Said the world won't understand you. Cause I made you in my own way. Said the world won't understand you. Cause I made you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 97 of In a Good Way podcast. Today's special guest is Sophia Demas. She is an author. She wrote The Divine Language of Coincidence, How Miracles Transformed My Life After I Began Paying Attention, which received a Reader's Favorite 2021 Gold Award. She also had a career in architecture. She ran a dress design business. She earned a master's in counseling. She created a workshop program for living a fearless life designed to enhance self-esteem in incarcerated women, and currently works as an in-house counselor for the Salvation Army in a residential facility for ex-trafficked women. So thank you so much, Sophia, for being here. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me, Omar.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I mean, there's so much to unpack there. You know, you already know this is a spiritual podcast, right? And like you said, you've witnessed, you even wrote a book about it, how miracles transformed your life once you learn how to pay attention to them. So when you were young, were you noticing any of these, what people call coincidences or synchronicities at a young age, or did all this come later on in life?
This started when I was 19.
Oh, okay.
So I had two big issues um, that were just bogging me down, sort of existential issues, and I just felt that they were unsolvable.
Hmm.
One was that I had kind of bought into my mother's rule or law that you should be no sex until marriage. Okay. And this wasn't working for me very well. I mean, it was like, I had met this man that I was really attracted to. I just always, I had, at the time, I found marriage unsavory. And so I thought, am I going to die a virgin, So that was up front and center. And then the other issue was that it it uh, it mattered what people thought of me. Okay, it mattered, and so when I would come across someone that maybe I just met, but like didn't like me, and I thought, well, I'm a good person. Why isn't this person like? Why are they not liking me? And so that was eating me. So what happened? Um, well, okay, I'll tell you my philosophy after I tell you the story.
Okay.
So what happened is in a very short period of time, because of this man that I had just met and a dream, a very significant dream, my two issues were solved. And that wasn't lost on me. So I thought, well, how can this happen? I mean, this just happened. And so I guess that's where I started paying attention without really knowing what I was doing. But then another thing would happen. And then that would result in something that I needed. What I call a miracle is getting exactly what you need at just the right time.
Hmm.
So the more I paid attention, the more these things happened. So I've developed my philosophy that there is a divine intelligence. Okay, I call it God, but I interchange, universal consciousness, uh, higher power, whatever you want to say, but it is intelligence. And this intelligence knows better than us what is the best for us. Okay. So, and it communicates with us. It communicates via dreams, uh, uh, meeting a stranger that says exactly what you need to know, or puts coincidences in your path. Now, when I would tell, people my miracles, they would just go, "Oh, these things only happen to you," which I found annoying in a way because, I mean, how could that be? I'm not special. I'm not a guru or anything. And then in 2011, I reconnected with a childhood friend, and I told her my latest miracle. And she said, "Oh, gee, Sophia, these things only happen to you." And something clicked. And I thought, everybody has a miracle story or a coincidence story, but the events are just too numerous. And so I meditated on it, and then I the key kind of gurgled up. And what happened with every coincidence is I took action on it. And then so you can go, "Oh my God, what a coincidence," and let it go by. But by taking action, one co-creates with this divine intelligence, and the miracle is produced.
So what was one of these miracles that made you say, okay, there's no way this is just your average coincidence that
Okay, I will give you two two short ones that had to do with our wedding. Okay. And I know it was my father pulling the strings up there. So, and also, I don't view one miracle bigger or lesser than another miracle. To me, they're all the same. Okay, so, and then you can tell me which one you think is stranger, in your opinion. Okay, so Frank and I decided to get married on 4th of July, and we picked the 4th of October to have the wedding. Now that's just 3 months later. And so here in Philadelphia, everything was kind of booked, musicians and venues. And I thought, oh, that's okay. I have a friend who's a wedding planner. She can turn, a garage into something beautiful. So I dial up my friend Anne, and a man answers that's not her husband. So I said, hello. I said, "Is Anne there?" And this man says, "Sophia, is that you? You called me. It's Jerry. You called me. Listen," he says, I'm really late for a meeting. I just got out of the shower. Can I call you later?" Now I knew that which Jerry this was because he has a distinct accent. So I said, "Jerry, promise me you're going to call back. Okay, promise me you will call back. It's very important. This is amazing. But before you go, give me your phone number." So I had misdialed the last number on this telephone number, and I got somebody that I knew socially. All right. So he calls me back. And as a result of that misdial, at the time, he owned the Barclay Hotel here in Philadelphia, this old world charming hotel. And he gave me the ballroom for free and then threw in the presidential suite. But he asked that I invite him and his girlfriend.
Mm.
Okay. All right. So coincidence, and then I get the ballroom. The other one is I get a call from this woman, and she said, "I found your driver's license." And I said, "Oh, wow, thank you." So she goes, "How can I get it to you?" So we determined that she only lived 2 blocks away. And I said, "Just put it through the mail slot." So she did, and wrote a very nice little note because she loved Oregon, where I'm originally from. Well, I'm from. And that was that. And then 2 months later, she calls me again. And she says, I know this is going to sound a little strange, but I just found your ATM card.
Oh.
Now, I don't go around losing cards, but I used an ATM machine that would spit out the card right away. So I
Mm.
would put it away. But this one said, would you like to make another transaction? So thinking I have the card, I leave, and the next person could just wipe out my bank account.
Mm.
But it was her. So, so she says, would you like me to put it through your mail slot? And I said, no, we have to meet. You have to come here to my studio. So I had this handmade soap from Oregon, and to thank her. And she comes in, she's this lovely young woman, and turns out she's a concert violinist.
Mm.
So she, as a result of that, she got her friend who plays the classic guitar, and they played Concierto de Aranjuez, my favorite piece of music, as I walked down the aisle as a
Mm.
wedding present.
Wow.
So,
That's
which one
amazing.
do you think is stranger?
I mean, both of them equally, really. But no, I love hearing things like this. I want to ask you real quick, just because I know I'm gonna ask you later, anyways. When is your birthday? I'm just curious.
October 14th.
Oh, okay, okay. I just wanted to know. I always ask these um these questions spiritually, right? They always make sense to me spiritually. Why certain things happen to certain people, in other words.
Okay, okay. Well, it's awareness. I'm certain of this. But what I wanted to contrast this was with three other coincidences that I'm not going to go into. They're in the book. The whole story is in the book. But after about 6 months into my relationship with my husband, I found out that he was a rager. He had some major anger issues.
Oh, wow.
And it was, from, childhood issues. He would, like, even an innocent gesture, he would perceive as demeaning him, and then he would just enrage. And so I was going to leave twice, but he wanted the relationship so badly. He the first time he found a therapist. The second time he found a men's group called Menergy, which, it's a bunch of raging men, from truck drivers to judges, and he became the poster boy. But
Wow.
he continued this behavior.
Oh.
So finally I had enough, and I said bye, because I could. Okay, within 2 months, three absolutely incredible coincidences happened. The first one had to do with A Course in Miracles. Are you familiar with that book?
I am, from people I've interviewed that
Okay,
mention it a lot.
life changing.
Mhm.
For me, life changing. The second one had to do with his wedding band. And the third one was absolutely the most bizarre thing. Had to do with a book I took with me, because, the second one completely disarmed me
Mm.
and allowed me to, start, you know, being closer and closer. And we got back together. And then I'll tell you this one. My best friend had asked me to be her matron of honor for the third time, and she was getting married in Maui.
Mm.
So I wanted to take Frank with me, but I had trepidation because he would sabotage these romantic getaways. And then I thought, no, if I am going to ask him, I am going to trust. I can always get out of it. So I did. And so we're uh, about to go into the cab, and I thought, oh no, I need reading material.
Mm.
And so I run up the stairs, and I have like 7 books that I started reading, and just picked one that I hadn't finished. So I just picked one, and when I got back, I was disappointed that I picked this one, because it was endless energy about this, like, auras, and and it's by Deborah Green. She's a kinesiologist, and like, why didn't I pick the novel? So now I'm in the airplane, and this is what I have to read, and I quickly get into it. So this woman does these, like, energy healings.
Mm.
And I'm like, wow, so I'm telling Frank about it. And then she had all these citations. She's a PhD. And I would go to the back of the book and back and forth and read. And oh my God, prayer works because Dr. Larry Dossey says so. So research shows. So I'd go back and forth. And then I'm at the back of the book, and it has her name, Deborah Green, and she's in Maui, Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
Not only that, but her address is Kihei Road, where we had rented our condo.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Now I'm gonna just stop here and go back to the 2 wedding, because it was great. I mean, it was great that I got these fantastic um, enhancers to our wedding. But these 3 things that brought us together were more important, because my marriage was more important than getting the ballroom. Okay. So, but how easily and here's what I want your audience to, for their takeaway. How easy would it have been to just say to Jerry, oh no, you don't have to call me back. I have nothing to talk to you. This is a wrong number. Right?
Mm.
Or, can I put this through your mail slot? Yes, perfect. This is such an amazing coincidence. Yeah, just put it through the mail slot. No, because I realized this was bigger than me, I took action. Okay. So here we are. I discovered that she is in Maui. Now, what am I going to do? At the layover, I call her up. I said, look, we're going to be there. What times do you have available? And she told me, and I said, well, I have to ask my husband, because this stuff is like Chinese to him. Okay. So I said, Frank, look, Maui, Kihei Road. And I had been telling him about these things while we were in the air. And I said, look, if you agree to a reading, it'll be your Christmas present. And he just went, well, it's meant to be. Well, that's, again, something he doesn't normally say. So I call her up, I make the appointments, we go. Each one of us has a reading. That was in 2009. He has not had one anger episode since.
Mm.
I mean, we get mad at each other, but that kind of episode, gone. Now, and I'm married to my dream guy, and he's transformed spiritually. So I don't know what it was. Was it the readings? Was it that I trusted him and he understood that? I don't know what it was. But to me, that is a miracle.
Yeah, that's a beautiful story. So in 2000, but you had already been married for a long time, right? By 2009.
Yeah, yes, we got married in 1997. So yeah,
Oh.
but I had it, and I'm telling you, I have a strong will,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, God gave us free will, which is sometimes unfortunate, but um, I did not want to lay eyes on this jerk ever again. And yet, these 3 amazing things just coincided, and my life is so much richer for it.
Wow, that's beautiful. So have you had any other things like see on my channel, I don't know if you knew this, but I've interviewed people all across the board, like, from mediums to, to you name it. We've covered all topics. So have you ever experienced anything like that, like any premonitions, anything that like on that level, or it's more like the amazing
Uh-uh.
miracles?
No, I have not had any premonitions. However, um, there were okay. So when I wrote my first book, The Divine Language of Coincidence, I just kept writing because I hadn't written anything before. In fact, I did not want to write a medium. About 16 years ago, a medium told me I was going to write a book.
Mm.
And I argued with her. I said, I'm sorry, but that's not in the cards. I said, I have nothing to say. And two, I said, I'm a people person. There's no way I'm going to sequester myself and write a book.
Ah.
And she just let me argue. And then she said, word for word, she said, Spirit says, when she's ready, there are many spirits here to help her and many hands on earth.
Mm.
And so when I reconnected with my friend and she said, oh, these things only happen to you, that is when I discovered that it's action, taking action on what this divine intelligence puts in front of you. So, but there were so many events that I just plucked out all the ones that related to death. So, and what's really so exciting to me, is that both books have gotten the attention of scientists.
Mm. So let's talk about. So you said you've written a second book as well. So what is that one about? And then, if you don't mind sharing about what the
Yeah,
scientists have found interesting.
it's the title is Consciousness Beyond Death: True Stories of Signs, Messages, and Timing.
Mm.
So there's after death communication. It's just different things around death that happened. Um, 7 of the 10 chapters are my experiences, and 3 are of close friends. And I mean, you can't pick which one is stranger, you know? So, I mean, and it's just amazing to me. I mean, so I knew that um, there were scientists that studied consciousness, but I had no idea that there were scientists that studied coincidence.
Oh,
And
I didn't know
so,
that either.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
yes, and you should look this outfit up. It's called, because it's right up your alley. So it's called the Scientific and Medical Network.
Mm.
Okay, and um, I don't know how they discovered me, but the executive director has just become my fan, and he in and so it's a conglomerate of esteemed scientists that study the paranormal.
Mm.
And so he invited me to help plan and participate in the Synchronicity Summit that happened in late September. And I think you can find out about it on that website. And so here I am, the only non-scientist, non-academic,
Oh,
and
wow.
they've so I'm part of this group permanently, and but here's what's so interesting. Okay, so they are all interested in my first book. So have you heard of Dr. Eben Alexander?
I can't say
He
that I
he
have.
wrote he wrote this book, Proof of Heaven.
Oh, okay.
And so it's an NDE, he nearly died, and he wrote about it. And so we were going to be speakers on the same venue here in Philadelphia. Well, it was Zoom. And so I asked him if he wanted to read my book, and he said yes. And he loved my book.
Mm.
And then when he found out that I had written the second one, he said, would you send me the manuscript so I can endorse it?
No.
So I sent him the manuscript, and he writes back and says, I'm sorry, I can't endorse your book because there's not sufficient discussion about consciousness. Well, that is BS. However, it is code for, oh, I'm a neurosurgeon. I can almost die, go to heaven, come back and write about it because it's an NDE. NDEs have been studied for decades, but I can't touch this topic with a 10-foot pole. So I thought, I'm going to ask Bernie Beitman, who is, he researches coincidences. So, and he's part of this group, this scientific and medical network. So I sent him the manuscript. He writes back and goes, I'm sorry, I can't endorse your book because it's not my field. So I thought, okay, fine. So the executive director of this outfit sends me 2 articles about after-death communication. 3 days later, Bernie writes me and says, since I received your email, I have received a flurry of after-death communication information, so I will endorse your book. Now, see what I mean? It's still not his field, right?
Mm.
But now, just before my book, was published, which this is what I mean. It's like there's this intelligence that's just has my back, just before a new scientific field has emerged, ADC, after death communication. So he received the same information I received, and now it's okay to endorse my book.
Absolutely.
So it's very exciting.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And the thing is, there are people, because I'll believe anything because of what happened to me. And you're probably in the same exact situation. Okay. So, but I wanted to say that there are people, there are people out there that if they saw Jesus, they would not believe it. So back to, that, the executive director of this outfit. So in one of his the articles that he sent me that he had co-authored, there's this little story about this. Okay, it's just perfect for what we're talking about. So Galileo had a friend in Padua who was a philosopher, and he's an avowed atheist. This guy's an avowed atheist. So Galileo was trying to convince this guy that the planets are encircling the sun. The earth is not flat. And this guy would not believe it. And Galileo was begging him to look through the telescope, and the guy wouldn't even do that.
Wow.
Why? Because if he saw that the earth was round, his whole world view would have to change. So he took the coward's way out. But there are people that are not going to believe, so I completely understand. But what I also wanted your audience to take away is that because this intelligence, has our back, wants us to be happy, wants us to find our true purpose, and communicates with us. But if we are mulish and we are, we want whatever we want, well, we will get obstacles. Okay, now it's our job to sort of become aware that maybe these obstacles are for our good. So how many times have I said, oh God, why are you doing this to me? And then whether the next day or 2 years down the line, I thank God for those obstacles. And I have a little story to illustrate this.
Yes, please do.
Okay, so I had come to Philadelphia from Oregon to work with Buckminster Fuller, who is quite a noted futurist inventor. He invented the geodesic dome. And then I had gone back to Oregon. And at the time, it was 1980. I'm sorry, yeah, it was 1984. It was 1984. And we were in the middle of a recession. So in Portland, Oregon, half the architectural firms had shut down.
Oh, wow.
But in the East Coast, things started rolling. So I thought, okay, I don't want too much time, to pass in, not working in architecture and working in a restaurant. So I came back to Philadelphia, and my friend took me to a Christmas party at an architectural firm. And I was bowled over. I just was looking at these projects on the wall, and I mean, and the space was just fantastic. And I loved the partners, which was a couple that were the partners. And so set up a interview. So Don interviews me and says, oh, you would make such a great fit here. So we're waiting on this project. And, when we get the project, we're hiring you.
Oh, wow.
Great. They don't get the project.
Oh.
He says, but we're waiting on another one. And we think we're really, this one I think is really coming our way. They don't get the project. Third time this happens, I said, sorry, but I need a job. So I went to work somewhere else, okay? 10 years later, I'm at the gym. And Don is at the same gym. He goes to the same gym. Well, there was this man that I was very attracted to. And, but it had been a year since we had talked or had any kind of interaction. And, he was scared of me. For whatever reason, this guy was scared of me. So, and that's not very attractive, So anyway, so I'm walking past Don, and he says, oh, come over here. He was on the treadmill. And he said, we're having our Christmas party tonight. I'd like you to come. And I go, thanks, okay. So I go on the Stairmaster. This guy that I've been attracted to, his name is Frank, and he comes and on the Stairmaster next to me and says, how do you know Don? And I said, well, I had an interview with him at his firm. How do you know Don? He goes, well, he's my partner. I didn't know that there was a third partner. So long story short, Frank and I get married. And I find out that in 1984, he was going through the nastiest divorce imaginable. Had I gotten that job, there was no way that he and I would have gotten together. So what at the time I saw is, oh, why are you doing this to me, God? I thank God for not getting that job, Yeah. So I think it's being aware and also your intuition. And that is kind of the through which, this communication happens when you feel the urge. And so it's never like, well, should I call this person? Should I not? It's like, if it's too big, if it's bigger than you, then just follow your heart, intuition, inner being, whatever you want to call it. And then the more things happen that are for your own good. The more you trust, and the more you trust, the more open, the more things happen.
No, I love that story. That's a beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing. No, no, really. It made me think of a lot of things. I wanted to ask you something. How did you get into working with incarcerated women? Because that really piqued my interest too when I was reading that about you. What led you into that field from going through architecture? Or well, first of all, what got you interested in architecture, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, when I found out, it was really amazing, and that's in the book. The whole story is in the book because it's unbelievable that I was um, going to school in Italy,
Mm.
and one of my roommates. And so we would just, stay up at night and, smoke Gauloise cigarettes and philosophize. And so one day he said, if you could be with anybody for half an hour, anybody dead or alive for half an hour, who would it be? I have no idea who I said, doesn't matter. I said, well, who would it be for you? And he says, oh, Buckminster Fuller. And all
Mm.
I had heard was that he had invented the geodesic dome. I knew nothing else. And he gets up and he brings me this thin little book called No Secondhand God.
Mm.
And it's like a 39-page poem. And I read this and I am like completely blown away. I mean, I'm like, oh my God, who is this person? And I start reading all about him. And I mean, he became my hero.
Wow.
So I came back to Oregon, and the most incredible events happened where not only did I meet him and we started a correspondence, but he asked me to work with him after I graduated.
Wow.
So then, because in architecture school, all I wanted to do was design the beautiful building, beautiful spaces. And he completely turned that on me. It was like to solve problems and to,
Mm.
like the world shelter shortage and solving problems became more important. And then
Wow.
my last stint in architecture was designing biotechnology laboratories. And that was as far away from beauty as you could get.
Mm.
So I thought, okay, you know what? Okay, enough of this. I'm going to design dresses because I can. And a building, you don't see the, from conception to a building, 2-3 years before you see your project. And but now a dress, now I can make beautiful dresses for beautiful women.
Mm.
Well, that became old really fast because beautiful woman, you can put like a moo on her and she's beautiful. So it was the problem figure that
Mm.
problem solving, like, so I had two great assistants and we produced 30 magnificent evening gowns for pregnant women, and we
Mm.
rented them so because what are you going to do with this dress, and that got me on the national stage.
Wow.
And then I designed a line of sexy clothes for huge women. And what I saw was that here these beautiful, rich clients like had no confidence. Like they had no
Mm.
confidence. And then these huge women were just the life of the party, and I'm like, so something's up with this picture.
Wow.
And so when I figured out that it's low self-esteem and where it comes from, that's when I went back to school and got my master's in counseling psychology.
Wow.
And I did this program, and I did it for incarcerated women because that's a captive audience. Okay, they make them come to my program, So I was able to come to do my thing, and the uh, commissioner of prisons here, loved the program, puts me in front of the board, 32 men and 2 women. Well, the 2 women, and so I present my program, and the 2 women and 2 gay guys loved the program, but the 30 other men just rolling their eyes around. No, they voted no because it wasn't tested. That was the code, for not, But even the administrators said, they testified that these women's behavior in a very short period of time changed for the better. But they didn't want it, so they didn't. But I got a $10,000 grant from the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, and then I've done it for groups of a lot of women at risk. And that's how I got to the Salvation Army and do this in-house counseling. And actually, I am doing the program there right now. So that's how I got to here.
Wow, that's amazing. And have you noticed anything? I mean, I'm sure you already saw it along the way because you pretty much stated like step by step. But anything when you've been working with the ex-trafficked women that you're just like, wow, okay, it all makes sense why I'm here at this moment and why I was led here.
Okay, so what I call it a spiritual journey, from being materialistic, just being interested in beauty. I guess along the way, I don't want to come back. I don't want to, come back and work on the same stuff over and over. And so along the way, I discovered that my true purpose is to help other people. Okay. Because I've been so fortunate, I've had loving parents. I had a cheery, childhood. And I've had all these miracles. And literally, Omar, I work in a whirlpool of trauma. And if I can make a difference in a woman's life who had the opposite of me, having a mother leave her 14-year-old daughter at a foster family's house and then never to be seen again. And I see the progress. I see them change. And that's basically what I live for,
Wow. That's beautiful. Is there any plans to write a book about that experience?
No.
No.
Well, actually, I did write about how I got to understanding about self-esteem, and so it's touched upon, but no.
No, I think it's an incredible journey. Like everything you've shared is just amazing to me. And there's a lot of things that I can't relate to that remind me of things, that I've experienced. So I think yeah, go ahead.
Well, everybody's at a different stage in their journey. And I believe that if you find out where the other person is and go to their level, you may agree on more things than disagree on. Okay. So what I have this in the book, I've kind of laid it out that sort of in general, attaining a spiritual maturity is in 3 levels. Okay. So level 1, I call it that you navigate through the perspective of wishful thinking. Okay, so you wish for something, a coincidence comes in front of you, you go, wow, what a coincidence, and you keep wishing for the same thing. Another coincidence, a dream, or whatever comes to you, you're oblivious. Where's my Ferrari? It's so so that is where a lot of people sort of get parked. Okay, then the second level is from the perspective of hope.
Mm.
Okay, so now you get it. Okay, oh, this is a coincidence. I'm going to take action, and hopefully something will come something will come to me that I need. Okay. And then you start working it and you see that it does work. Okay. And then that brings you to the third level, which is from the perspective of faith.
Mm.
Okay. And when you reach this level, you don't worry anymore. Oh, it didn't happen. Well, it wasn't supposed to happen. Oh, it happened. Oh, wonderful. And then you say, thank you, God. I say thank you, God, all day long. Okay. And in the divine language of coincidence, it's a memoir. So basically it's chronological. The miracles are chronological, but there are two chapters. One is titled Please, which is on prayer. And the other one is titled Thank You, which is on gratitude.
Mm.
And the events on those chapters are more thematic. And and the thing with the prayer is just ask. Just ask. You don't have to kneel, you just ask as you're walking down the street. And this is the way you start having a personal relationship with this divine intelligence. And then when you get it, you say thank you. And that is the highest form of prayer. Again, okay, so divine intelligence has communicated with you. Now you are communicating with divine intelligence. So so it's one way to look at where we are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I like that a lot. And like I said, because I've related to so much of what you said. Aside from the books, then right now you're still working with the Salvation Army, right?
Yes, yes. And oh, here's a communication from my departed loved one. I believe I told you that I have just lost one of my, you know, oldest and dearest friends.
Oh,
And
yeah, my condolences. Really sorry to
oh,
hear.
thank you. And it has shocked me because it was sudden.
Mm.
We had this wonderful FaceTime visit 2 days before.
Wow.
So so I just was thinking of her, and I said, Pushpa, I said, I know where you are, but give me a sign that you're in a wonderful place.
Mm.
The next morning, I got a Facebook a friend request from her. Now I've done, this has happened before where I would get a friend request from somebody who's already my friend because she was already my friend. And I don't know how that works, that they, like, if somebody's trying to get into your Facebook account or what. But I would say timing, I asked for a sign from her and I get a friend request from her the next morning. That is what I'm talking about. That's what the book is about.
Yeah.
The second book.
The second book. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, that's there's no way I think there's no way like someone can explain that, right? Like it's definitely a thing of having faith. And I think anyone that's a skeptic, might be inclined to think differently, especially after reading one of your books, right? Like,
Okay, yes. And in fact, and like I said, everybody will have a story. So I told my eye surgeon about the second book. So she says, well, I have a story for you. I go, okay. And she said, I had to go to a gala with my husband. And I really didn't want to go to this gala because I was dead tired. It was after a whole day of surgeries. And I just didn't want to go, but we had to go to this gala. So I had to take the babysitter home because it's my husband's rule not to be alone with a female babysitter,
Mm.
which I found interesting. And she says, so I'm on my way home, and all of a sudden, she said, I heard my grandmother scream, wake up. And she said, I came to, and I'm heading into a brick wall.
Oh.
And she was saved.
Mm.
So there you go.
Yeah. No, I love things like that. You know, I'll share a story real quick. That happened to me once where, I was young, I don't know, maybe 20 years old, and I had moved a few cities over. I don't know, maybe 40-minute drive from my parents' house, and then all my friends lived by my parents' house. So, I had came on the weekend to, go party with all my friends. We're drinking all night. I probably head back over there to where I was staying like at 6 in the morning. So I'm just like, yeah. And for some reason, when I came to, I didn't know where I was. I get off the freeway, and I'm like, hey, there was a man walking in the street, like he was going for his morning stroll. And I'm like, hey, where's this city at? He's like, oh, you passed, like, that's like 30 minutes back. And I'm like, what? Like, how was I driving? Like, was I asleep? Like, it almost felt like something had grabbed that wheel. It didn't let, because there's no way. It was like I had blacked out, and they were like, "Oh, you passed away." Like, I'm like, what? Like, that whole thing was just blanked out. So I feel, to this day, I felt that something grabbed that wheel, and I must have not. I mean, I had been partying all night, drinking all night. 6 in the morning, I'm trying to drive back, and I think I was knocked out, and something grabbed that wheel. And
Yep, that's right.
so yeah, you just reminded me. That's why I was like, what, let me share that story because I haven't remembered that in a long time. So yeah, these things
Mm-hmm.
happen. I love hearing about that. I love hearing about it. Yeah, I mean, unless there's anything else you want to share, I mean, I'll put all the links to your books. Um, and so anything coming up that you're going to be a
Okay,
part of as well?
well, since you are interested in the mystical, okay, and maybe some of your audience would be interested in this. If you go on my website, which is sophiademas.com, and you click on the page that's my influencers,
Mm-hmm.
so that's 8 people that I have had personal contact with that I consider to be mentors.
Mm,
Well, you should read the blurb on Abbess Emiliani.
okay.
So you can't miss her. Okay, she runs this monastery in Maryland. You'll know exactly who it is. And this it is a firsthand account of bilocation.
Oh.
It's she's the real deal. I mean,
Mm.
it's absolutely amazing. So that's it. And if somebody wants to know more, well, they could read the books.
No, absolutely. Yeah. No, thank you so much. It's been an honor. Okay, there we go. Okay. So, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so
I just
we'll
want to
end
be
it there because I'll take that as a coincidence that it's time to end it.
clear.
Okay, so Sophia, thank you so much. It's been an honor. I'll put all the links so anyone that wants to contact you can reach out to you and get your books, of course. So I'll have all of that in the description. And yeah, no, thank you so much for being such a lovely guest.
Thank you. And I enjoyed your stories as well.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Okay, well, we'll talk soon. Take care.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Life may move fast, story may move slow. I met a silly man who said he make it slow. We look up out towards space, so even at the sky. One day pass away, but never look inside. Breathe in, breathe out. Life is amazing, but we'll figure this out. I mean, human beings, I ain't got no doubt.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sometimes you just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You just feeling it. And I wanna feel this way forever, ever.